Hello and welcome back to another video feature of the Immersive Worlds Handbook. Today I'm back in Singapore at the very famous shopping mall Ion Orchard, and I'm specifically, as you can see here from my video, up on the 55th and 56th floors of the mall at a space that has been named Ion Sky. As you get a chance here to observe my first experience with the space, I think you can see it's quite dramatic in a number of respects. And in just a bit I'll talk about this as a sense of using its verticality, its height, as a key element of creating immersion within the space. But I think what's more significant initially, you can see here, is that it's a very social space. And as many themed and immersive spaces that are successful in today's day and age have figured out, you certainly have to have an ability to both attract people to your space and have them linger in that space and even interact within that space. And this goes back to all the classic themed and immersive spaces in the eras of, say, Coney Island and many others that followed, Disneyland, of course, and so many other spaces. But I think the second thing about this is you can see, and I have to say this is a day in which it wasn't terribly crowded. This was an off time when I made my visit, so you could see that even for this off hour during my visit, it was incredibly popular. What you see here is quite key. People are reading, people are taking photos, people are doing social media posts. They have their monopods out, as I often noted in my time in Singapore. And they're taking advantage of this space and something as simple as its verticality, and yet using this and all the amazing images that one can capture to do things like post to social media to share the experience with their friends, with their family, with their loved ones. And we'll have a chance now here to look at the actual spaces leading up to the dramatic Ion Sky deck up on the 55th floor. So this is a very short entry area that I thought was quite effective, using the clouds as a sense of iconic imagery to orient the guests in the space. Here's the elevator, again leading to the 55th and 56th floor. And I actually thought the interior here of the elevator, hard to make out in my video, and I apologize for that, but basically you have level 4, and then if you could see it at the top, you would have level 55, and I think it's /56. And this is actually kind of cool because most of us, you go in an elevator and you think of multiple floors. In this case, we have 2 floors that are being advertised, and I really like how this gives you a sense of transporting you to another place, and this is quite dramatic, I think, in how they've achieved this. Here's the welcome message to Ion Sky, and I'll show you in just a bit how they've used a series of textual elements, graphic elements on the windows to, I think, great effect. And I think what's key, and I mentioned this earlier, is that they're using one key element, the fact that this is a very high space, that it's up 55 floors above Singapore. Seems like a simple thing, but really isn't. And I think you could fail miserably by just saying, here's an observation deck, look around, here's a few viewfinders, you put a quarter in, and so forth. And many spaces have done that, unfortunately. What they've done here, as you can see from some of the signage, is they've actually created an immersive space. They haven't done a ton. There isn't a lot of multimedia, but there is, I think, sufficient signage in this space to give the guest a sense of immersion within that space. And we'll look here at a bit more of how that immersion is achieved. So you can see here, they're using clouds in addition to verticality as part of the theming of the space, part of the immersion. So you get a sense of the different types of clouds. And then what I think is really cool and innovative, and yet simple, is they mention here the cumulonimbus clouds, and they give you the image so that you can look out the window and actually have a sense of which cloud might be outside the window there. Taking you through here with a little more of the video of the space itself. And again, you just get incredible views. And I wanted to point this feature out here too. You actually get then signage, place signage. So this is showing you exactly where Orchard Road is. I think this is also very cool. You're orienting the guest within the space, and in addition to featuring the clouds and the types of clouds and noting those, you're telling the guest where he or she is. And in addition, this is pretty cool. You have famous artists like Baudelaire and Joni Mitchell, as you'll see here in a second, who are offering their opinions of clouds. And again, something very simple, but it reminded me of a more philosophical take on an immersive space in terms of how the emphasis is on the symbolic or even existential qualities of clouds, which are such a predominant feature, I think, in this space, Ion Sky. So I hope that maybe you saw in this video feature that this is much more than simply a space that uses its incredible height and verticality to create awe or wonder in the sensibilities of the guest. In fact, I think it's doing much more than this. It's doing it in some subtle ways, but it's emphasizing some things that allow it, I think, as a space to create incredibly effective immersion and to give the guests a sensibility that they've seen something quite unique in terms of what they've been able to view here at Ion Sky in Singapore. I hope you enjoyed this video feature, and if you make it to Singapore, take the elevator ride up to the 55th and 56th floors, and please by all means come back for additional video features for the Immersive Worlds Handbook.